was your morning today?
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another edition of Community Conversation. I'm your host, Imam Mujahid Muhammad here at Masjid Muhammad Newark. You can check us out on, you can check our website out at www.masjidmuhammadnewark.org. That's www.masjidmuhammad.org. You also can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Masjid Muhammad Newark. We're honored to be here with another edition of Community Conversation with our dear sister in the community we're going to introduce you all to her. Some of you may know her, some of you may not know her, but we're going to introduce her. She's going to tell us about herself and some of the things that she's working with in our community for our pioneers, for our young people, for our community leaders, for our faith communities, for our business people, so all things. Welcome, Sister Lynda Lloyd.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the invitation. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So
as they say about 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
You know how you say when you're in like the elevator?
Oh, my elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's interesting because we teach young people elevator pitches. So let me see if I can get this together. So I'm Lynda Lloyd, a proud daughter of Newark. I'm actually from this community. Grew up in the building up the street from the masjid. Graduated from Westside High School. Attended Howard University, HU. And studied political science there. I also have a master's in public administration. I'm a National Urban Fellow, and I attended Baruch College in New York for that accelerated program.
Oh,
and I am just an active community member. I'm a mom, #boy mom, and also a business owner, and really just have a love for service, working with young people in the community, and also civic engagement is really, really important to me.
Let's start.
You
got it. Let's start off with civic engagement because that's a big thing right now, especially
Yes.
We're coming into 250 years of America.
Yes.
We have all these different political groups. We have a lot of things going on that are positive, some things that are challenging. Just talk about what is civic engagement and what's the best way we can be civically engaged.
Sure. So civic engagement is essentially when you are, I don't want to use the word engage in the response, but when you are engaging, for lack of a better transition word, with people, and people have an understanding of their rights, their resources, and knowing the role that government has in their life, the true role, right? And so, for example, in our town in Newark, the only public forum that you have really is to address the municipal council. And you have there's boards and commissions where you can go and listen and possibly speak about things happening in the city. But there aren't any open forums to address, let's say, the administration. And so sometimes people bring issues that's supposed to be addressed by the administration to the municipal council because that is their outlet. And some people actually don't know who is responsible for what, where to go to solve their problems. And so once we have an electorate that is more astute in terms of knowing where to go to advocate for our rights and resources and what we are supposed to have, then we will, I believe, begin to see different leadership because the people will be awoke and more aware. So civic engagement is definitely about government interaction, engagement, and also the leadership with the people and engaging.
How did you get into this whole arena?
So I've always loved civics. I've always been involved in community. I've been organizing community events since I was a student at Westside High School. And, I just looked around the community and I believed that we deserved better even as a child. And so my understanding at that time was that, well, in order to have a better quality of life, our government should do more for us. Now, having studied politics and public administration in different spaces, I do still believe the government can be helpful in changing the quality of life. But it is, I think, a partnership or a triangle, if you will, of the government, the people, and also the business community, because the government cannot do it alone, right? And so, yeah, so since that time, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go study politics. So I went to Howard to do so. I harassed Congressman Payne Sr., his office, so I could get an internship there. And so I interned in his office while I was a student at Howard, and then also after graduating, I continued working with him and also in the New Jersey office. I also worked for the mayor when he was the South Ward councilman. I actually, before I went to Howard, I worked for Mamie Bridgeforth, who was the West Ward councilwoman at the time, before leaving to go to college. So just really wanting to work with different leaders, study different systems, and see how could we maximize those spaces to have a better quality of life in our community.
Excellent. I was told by one of your friends who told us that you're very active in the community. You've done a lot of things with young people. Talk about young people in general in leadership, young people getting involved in their community.
Wow, so first of all, young people, we have some young people here in the masjid. They are our promise, right? They're not just the future, they are now. And so we have to heavily invest in young people. We have to invest in young people the way in which we show up in community and space. And we also have to invest in them to expose them to greater than what they see and what they're experiencing currently. And so throughout my life, I've been involved with young people. I started a nonprofit organization back in 2009 called Young Urbanites Unite. A part of that, I had a conversation with a young person, and she just was speaking so negatively about like the city of Newark and, you know, what we have here. And so my conversation with her, I enlightened her. We talked about because she was talking about the news. And so we talked about how the news is, you know, you can't believe everything that you see on the news. It's sensationalized, right? And if you're only being fed what you see on television about your community, you're getting the wrong message. And so I said, you know what? I need to put other people, young professionals more specifically, in front of our youth, right? Have them engaged and let them know that these people have, you know, gone to schools here or live here, raising their family here, have nieces and nephews, and very successful, and still live in Newark. Because that is not what is being shown on television. And so that was a great experience. We did a number of mentorship events where we paired young urbanites, I call them, and young people. And just the ongoing engagement to know that you can see something different than what is fed to you that is not so, the things that's fed to you is not so positive. It has, and it did have a good impact on their outlook on community and their belief in themselves about what they can accomplish being from the city.
Excellent, excellent. I want to take a break real quick, but before we take a break, I know there's like this stereotype about Newark. Everybody has their different reputation about Newark.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a place outside of Newark, and they thought I did some negative things because I was from Newark. And it's like, wow, that's how we look like?
Wow.
So tell us about the reputation. I know you got the For the Love of Newark campaign, and you're also running for councilman at large. Yes. Congratulations. So we can talk a bit about that a little bit. I just wanted to prep you for that, but I did want to bring our young scholars on. They're going to do a quick presentation, and then we'll be right back. Brother Nashon, you ready? Okay, he's somewhat ready. So here at Masjid Muhammad Newark, we like to engage our youth. We also like to support our businesses. We have several businesses in our community that help donate to the masjid and the causes. And so we just have a few products today that they're going to introduce to you. He got it, Nashon got it.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nashon Sankufu. I'm 10 years old. So today we have the Muslim Journal, like a pocket Muslim Journal. It has like dates you can mark something and holidays. We have this is $5 if you want to buy one. This is my personal emergency information. You could like put all your information and give it to somebody who loves and is part of your family, or just anybody in general that you could trust. This is $10 if you want to buy that also. And this, we have a Muslim Journal, our paper for the masjid. We have this for $3 if you want to receive information. And we also have something that we don't have here. As you know, we have the True detergent and we have the Muslim flag. The True detergent is $20 and the flag is $15. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. one of our young scholars and business entrepreneurs. That's leave that there. Those will be her gift. Yes. Not fun. And so, as I was saying before we had the break, the quick break was the importance of, I guess, representing the best side of ourselves and not allowing these stigmas that go outside of Newark to typecast us. And what is our responsibility as Newarkers to do the best we can?
Well, I also want to commend the young brother and say that's exactly what we are supposed to be doing. So him training and doing that now, his confidence, his advocacy, all of that stuff, this is great training that you are providing for them. And this is how we do it. And you know, we don't have a responsibility to other people. We have a responsibility to the Creator, right? And how we show up in the world and how we engage and know that we are representing Him when we do that. And then if we're doing our best to do that, then we will automatically take care of Newark. You know, we share stories. I share Newark stories and engage not for outside people, but really for ourselves. You know, there are resources here. People don't necessarily see it, or the resources don't necessarily always trickle down to the people who need it the most, or we need more of them, right? And so we just really need to have hope amongst ourselves. And once we have hope amongst ourselves and we believe, you know, how we're supposed to show up and believe and know who we are in the world, I think showing up for Newark is just like, it's easy peasy. It's a part of it. And if I could really quickly just go back to Young Urbanites Unite, you had asked me about civic engagement. And so we started a civic engagement arm called the Newark Voter Empowerment Tour. That was back in 2012. So at that time, we had this big audacious goal to register 10,000 new voters in the city. And so we would go to every block party, festival. We literally went all through all 5 wards, registering people to vote, updating their address, and performing like voter education classes. And at that time, the voter registration law was a bit different, but people were so elated to know that they could actually vote. You know, I spoke to people in the community, I can't vote. And I'd be like, well, if you're not, you know, at that time on probation or parole, you can actually vote. And so they were like, oh, so I can vote for Obama? And I was like, well, I can't tell you who to vote for, right? Because we were nonpartisan, but you absolutely could exercise your right to vote. And I bring that up, and I think it's my past with that is important because my personal experience is that people think that you always have to like physically give people in our community something. But information is powerful. And I've never met a person in community when I'm engaging that really did not appreciate being informed. Now, some people obviously can be ignorant, but overwhelmingly more than others, they appreciated having that information. And I think that there is a information gap in our community that will, if we pour into that, that will help with the pride and the hope that we talked about because we are great people. We just don't necessarily always see our greatness because of some of the unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, I really appreciate that frame of that lens that you frame engagement. I mean, that's pretty crucial. And I think, as you said, I mean, if you are responsible to the one who created everything, most likely anything that you'd be responsible for, anything that you're connected to would be that much more easy to benefit. So, in relation to the love of Newark, let's talk about that and your pursuit for a council person at large. Tell us about that position. Tell us about what made you want to get into this endeavor.
Sure. So like I said, as a student at Westside, I looked around and I was like, you know, we could be better. So I was like, I want to study government. And so that's why I went to college. I was like, I want to go. I looked at the history of Howard and I saw all of the amazing people who went there. And I'm like, I want to be a part of that legacy. I want to study under that tutelage. I want to walk in those halls. I want to walk on that campus. And I want that energy in me as I am studying on how to make my community better. And so that's why I studied political science. And, you know, I said, why not me, right? And why not have more young people be in elected office, right? 18 to 45 is the largest voting demographic in the city. But unfortunately, we don't come out and vote in municipal elections. And so I am empowered by the numbers. I'm empowered by the hope that we talked about earlier. And I'm also empowered by the promise of the Creator of where he positioned me, people who he has allowed me to meet, things that I've been able to materialize in my life. And I do believe that it is my purpose, not to run for office per se, but definitely be a representative from this community and community about what our general community should look like. I think that is important. So I'm like a little nerd for it. I knew who the council person was when I was a student at Camden Middle. It was Ron Rice, right, for the West Ward. And I think that it's important for people to pay attention. And when people are paying attention, those in leadership tend to show up differently.
But why now? Like, why is it important now?
Why
to
now?
show up?
Why not now? So right now, we have a municipal council that doesn't necessarily reflect what the city looks like. For example, one simple fact, 60 to 65% of the homes in the city are led by women. How many women do we see serving on the Newark Municipal Council? We have one at large and we have one in a central ward seat. There's 9 seats, right? And the at-large position specifically, right, it covers the entire city. So this is something that I take very seriously, something that I intentionally went to school to study, something that I intentionally have been engaged in community throughout my life, just trying to figure out what's the best way, right? To not just organize for myself, but how do I organize with people who are of like minds to be able to make change? And I do have the ability to bring people together, right? I do have the ability to make people pay attention. And why not pursue that for a position where I can then say, you know what? I have a say over rights and resources in my community. I represent a certain demographic. I'm engaged in other demographics that are not well represented, and they need to see this. And so that's really why I'm doing it. That's why we really need to do it now. We don't need permission, right, to do it. If you are a registered voter and you are of 18, you can pursue the seat. I remember graduating from Howard and the late Congressman Payne Sr. called me and asked me in his office if I would run for district leader, also known as county committee. And so he asked me that himself, and I served in that position for about 6 years before I ran before. So I ran for council at large before. At that time, I was one of the youngest people on the ballot. The team that I was with at the time, I was the youngest person in the team and the only woman. And so women, we really influence a lot in the background. And it's time for us to take our rightful place. Not that we are against, right, our brothers, but we have a different style of leadership that I think that the city needs to see more of.
Absolutely. Mothers, women, wives, they are the backbone of relationships. So we definitely need them in society to get it straight. There's the 3 issues we can close out on. Anything else you'd like to address? Okay. One of them is economic development. Other one is youth development training. You kind of talked to some of that. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, we can talk about community collaborating together.
Sure. So definitely community, nothing for us without us. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Kim Gaddy and some of my other elders who were brought up in a certain tradition, right? And so community should be a part of all of these things. And so we talk about For the Love of Newark. We literally went around the city and had folks complete a simple survey to ask them what they love about Newark and what they want to see more of. And as a result of that survey, we then developed an agenda that reflects what the people said that they wanted to see, not just what I thought was important. And so one big thing in terms of economic development, mobility, and youth development together that I would like to see is a apprenticeship fund created, right, for businesses who receive contracts in the city over a certain dollar amount, that they have to pay into a fund to train our young people 16 to 25 or 26. Now, we can leave a small percentage for other residents who are not of that age, but we absolutely have to make that investment in young people now. Corporations and businesses, they say in the town that, they haven't come across residents who are qualified for the positions that they have. Well, if we have an apprenticeship that is specifically for the industries that are growing in the future and the ones that we have here, we now create a pipeline from high school to them being trained to either go to and work in the anchor institutions in the city or neighboring with the proper skill set so that they can stay here. We don't want our young people to have to leave Newark to create a better life. They should be able to have a sustainable living wage here and be able to raise their families here should they choose.
Nice. That was solid. That was solid. So we open. If you have any questions in the audience, you're welcome to share. As our future, I'm about to call her congressman already, councilperson at large, any questions in regards to civic engagement, economics, community collaboration? You got anything? what you call yourself earlier? You call yourself a sheikh, right? A learned person, right? So your advocacy for education, right? The importance of youth education is very important. Is there anything that you would like us to know as a community to better be involved in our community, be a better advocate for those who can't advocate for themselves and so forth?
One of the biggest things I think is important for us to do is to get out of the house, right? Don't just have these conversations at your kitchen table. So each one of us has a role. So for me, it could be if you text 10 people on your phone and say, speaking of education, we have a school board election coming up on April 21st. Now 16-year-olds in the city of Newark are eligible to vote. We need to push that. We need to get them involved. We need to have them vote, right? But we need to get out, get away from our kitchen table. So that's either you grab the young people in your family, you text people on your phone and say, hey, this is important. As it relates to the municipal election, it's the same thing. What's important to you? Not just going out and voting on election day. By the way, we have 39 more days. Can you believe it? Until election day. But, not just coming out and voting, but staying engaged. So if there's an issue that's important to you, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call your elected official. Don't be afraid to, write. And use the strength of people that you have. It's unfortunate, but some people won't move if they don't see numbers. So if you come and complain as an individual, it's like, some people, not all, you can be dismissed. But if you come with the whole Ummah, they have to respond. So I really just want people in general in the city, this is young people and older, to understand your strength and exercise your strength. It's your God-given right. We have it, and don't let anybody suppress it. And don't stop until you get what you want. Because there are other communities in this municipality and around, they don't stop until they get what they want. It's nothing different from us. We have the numbers. We need to act like we have the strength so that we can then begin to get the things that we want in our community without a bargain.
Excellent. So there you have it. We just introduced you all. If you haven't been introduced to her, now you have Sister Lynda Lloyd, For the Love of Newark. Check her out. What can they check you out at?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Lynda Lloyd for City Council. And I also have a website, lyndalloyd.com.
Okay.
I don't know if, and Lynda spelled with a Y, L-Y-N-D-A. And I'm not sure if I can say what my line number is,
Sure,
13B. Yeah, so every Friday we're asking folks to donate $13 for 13B. So if you go to donate to lynda.com, you can donate $13 for my ballot position 13B.
You got it. So thank you again for joining in, tuning in, listening. Inshallah, God willing, we'll be back at another time with another edition of Community Conversation here live at Masjid Muhammad Newark. Until next time, peace.
Peace. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Sister Clara Muhammad, a black Muslim woman from Macon, Georgia, was an extraordinary leader and pioneer. Her contributions, especially in the development of Islamic education in America, paved the way for thousands of Muslim families to take ownership of their children's future, starting at a time when homeschooling was illegal in the United States. She eventually established a network of schools that was later named Sister Clara Muhammad Schools in her honor by her late son, Imam Warith Din Muhammad, rahimahullah. Sister Clara Muhammad helped to establish the important role women had in early Muslim American history and was an inspiration to future generations of leaders. Without her, there would not have been a nation of Islam, or the unique Sunni Muslim community that evolved from it, one that was acutely aware of the concerns and aspirations of women. May Allah have mercy on Sister Clara Muhammad.